Hi everyone, my name is Jiheng. To start, I would like to take you back to a day in 5th grade for me. This was the day where we went to a park and we gathered trash. We decided to take the bottles, put in the recycling bin, throwing the rest in the trash. Today we learned about the importance of recycling and all the values and potential it can have. Recycling is gathering up the waste and trying to turn it into a reusable material. Throughout the day, we learned why recycling is important, how it helps the environment. However, I would like to tell you, my claim is that recycling is actually harming the environment rather than helping. I would like to convince you of this through 3 facts. Number 1 is recycling is spreading contamination. Number 2, it's still spreading air pollution. And number 3 is not very cost friendly. Number 1, recycling is spreading contamination. In a study done by Health Physics Society, which was founded in 1956 and specializes in radiation safety, they discovered that in the late 1992 that more than 100 building complexes containing public and private schools and nearly 1,000 apartments had been identified in Taiwan with elevated levels of gamma radiation from construction steel contaminated with cobalt-60. And cobalt-60 is a synthetic radioactive isotope of cobalt produced artificially in nuclear reactors to try to fight off tumors. This study shows that recycled materials are not very well inspected. A lot of dangerous materials or hazardous waste could go through recycling and end up in society once again. This is very deadly, and although this is only starting with steel and constructions, it could lead to something major like plastic we use every day, such as plastic bottles or drink containers, such as Carl's Jr. Cup. The second argument is that recycling is still increasing air pollution. In a study done in a report found by Oregon Public Broadcasting, the primary television and radio broadcasting network for most of Oregon, they have found in 2009 that there are 179,000 waste collection vehicles out there in the U.S. This includes both recycling and regular waste, with 91% of them being diesel fuel and most of them very old. This is increasing the amount of greenhouse gases spread into the environment, and since the vehicles are old, it means they're not very oil friendly and producing more greenhouse gases. By the same report, yes, they found that St. Gobain Containers, a quotations world leader in quotations in protecting the environment, was fined $962,000 for violating the Clean Air Act in order to reduce their costs and make more money, because they're trying to recycle and show the world that they're a green company. And if such a large company can go for so long and even win the title of being the world's leader in protecting the environment, what is there to say that smaller companies, not as large, is not avoiding the same costs as them, and in turn, like increasing the air pollution in the air by not following the acts that are not very regulated? My third argument is that it's not very cost friendly. In a study done by Discovery Magazine, I discovered this, only about 6% of the total plastic used in the U.S. are recycled, which means that 93.2% are not recycled. And in the same magazine, we found that 7th Generation, a company that makes eco-friendly household products, is increasing the recycled content of all its packaging, with the goal of recycling 75% of the plastic they're using. This 70% is only of the 6.8% in the U.S. that is being recycled. It's not a very large number. It's not very cost friendly, and doing this, they're trying to save money, but it's not very effective. Money leads into people coming to work, driving their cars, increasing air pollution, and as well, with the companies not giving back to is not giving back and making as much money as they like to from the recycled material. And all of this effort is just to use the 6.8% recycled plastic. In another study that I found, to make 1 bottle of water, it requires three bottles of water and a half a bottle of oil to be burned as energy to make the water, and the 2 other to cool down the material, and the 1 bottle to fill up the water bottle. This is not very friendly to the environment because it's using a lot more water and resources to produce 1 container of water rather than just disposing of it and not using the material. Overall, it is from these 3 facts that it spreads contamination, air pollution, increased air pollution, and it's not very cost friendly that recycling is actually harming the environment rather than helping it. Thank you.
Okay, that's all for me. Thank you. I got it, Jiheng. There you go. I just need to hear it and write it the wrong way. I'm going to give myself a phonic pronunciation of it here. All right. I like the opening with your story about learning about recycling when you were a kid in school. I thought that set it up. Why there's a controversy when you come up with a contrary claim at the beginning, and there's your proposition. It's pretty clearly stated. Phrasing is a little complicated, but it's very clear. There's also a good preview of what the contents of the speech are, and they're all phrased as declarative statements, so that's solid. So I think you've got a good opening there. On the issues, you organize it very clearly. It's easy to follow. There's a numerical signpost on each of the supporting claims. You do a good job there. Your explanations of the arguments on each of the points are relatively clear. I don't think that they're always convincing. I think that you make some big inferences with a very little amount of data on a couple of these points, and I think that that's problematic. Your presentation, though, is pretty solid, and I think you do a good job speaking to the audience. Examples, you had a couple of examples that you used that were pretty good. The statistical information mostly is background information and never gets cited in terms of sources. The other information is cited pretty well. Like I said, you had several things that cited some material. Like that last argument that you present about 1 bottle requires 3 bottles plus a certain amount of oil to do all these kinds of things. I said, I know you got that someplace. It doesn't sound like something that people made up, but I don't get a source citation on that, and I think that's a little bit of a problem. There's no statistical information about the cost effectiveness. Even then, you're not telling me that that's less, or you're not even proving to me that that's more costly than collecting the trash and disposing of it, which, by the way, you say is going to be polluting. And the alternative is not collecting it, and I think you've conflated all trash vehicles with recycling trash vehicles. That's, I think, a little bit of a problem. There's going to be an argument there. When we talk about the reasoning issues, whoever is responding will probably pay close attention to those things. So you had evidence on each point. It's not, I think some of the evidence is pretty good. I do think that you're making big inferences from that evidence, and that's a little bit problematic, and some of the evidence needs to be cited a little bit more effectively. But you had an excellent summary and exit at the end of the speech, reminding people, here's the argument that I was making, finishing with a clear statement, and that's the one thing that you want to do when you're making an argument, leave people with a very clear point at the end so that they know this is what I was supposed to get from the argument. All right, thank you.